Welcome back to another episode of Backstage Bucks County. We have an absolute Philadelphia Bucks County and really kind of world legend at this point, the amazing drummer of the Hooters, practitioner in all things music, great guy, entrepreneur, family man, Mr. David Uosikkinen. David, thank you for having us on the show, my brother.
Hey, Dustin.
Yeah, man.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Yeah.
So this is one episode that Dustin and I, when we first put the show together, we were trying to think of like our Mount Rushmore of Bucks County legends of people that we had access to.
Yeah.
I think you were, if not number one, you were in like our top
Wow.
3 people that we
Let
wanted
me
to
make a
have on the
call.
show.
I'm blushing. I mean, you
Can't see
know,
it through the
I mean,
makeup.
the word legend. You hear that, you go, oh boy. I mean, and that could go in a lot of different ways.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Ken.
He's
Very
a legend
true.
of that, a legend. But it's awfully nice and humbling. I might say that you'd even speak of me in those terms because I've been speaking of in other terms over the years,
As we all have, I'm sure.
So, but it's really,
What
really,
I'm thinking and what I'm saying are two different things.
it's really very nice, and it's great to be with you guys. It's great to see Dustin. I've known Dustin for a
Yeah,
long
man.
time. I know Dustin's mom, and we go back growing up in the same neighborhood, and it's great to meet you and hear about all the cool things that you're doing, and I love that you guys are getting out there and doing this. This is great. There's not enough of it, you know, because there's a lot of great people doing great things coming from this area, and it's good that people are talking about it.
It's
Why
awesome.
we're doing it. Exactly
Yeah.
why we're doing
Yeah,
it.
we were just talking before the show started rolling. That's the whole premise of what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
trying to tell the stories of these amazing, creative, maybe color outside the lines people that weren't on like the, corporate 9-to-5 path. And
Yeah.
you made a cool comment. Just you're a trailblazer in music. And when you guys formed, the way that I kind of sum up, if you don't know David, obviously you will after the show, but it's like from Levittown to Live Aid, is kind of the
Yeah, Live Aid.
and there's obviously a million things in between there, but you guys formed the band, and kind of had this amazing ride and amazing career with a
True.
million stories, and it's
True.
led to In the Pocket, your
Yeah.
show now, and
Yeah.
your band, and
Yeah.
so take us all the way back to the very beginning. Growing up, first of all, as a Birds fan, go Birds!
Yeah, tonight
Well,
we got the Cowboys.
we do.
Wait, by the time this show ends, we would have already kicked their ass. so
So give me a
Mark my
prediction
word.
for
what
the
time?
score.
What time is it right now? It's around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even 10, and they play tonight.
That's
but I
right.
feel confident in our Eagles. Go Birds!
Congrats, Birds, on kicking their ass 42-3. so-
Exactly. And how many games? So I think we would already played 2 games, right? By then,
Yeah,
Right.
2 or 3 games.
right? And our next opponent is. I'm not sure who the next opponent.
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter.
We
It doesn't
compete
matter.
against ourselves this season.
Exactly. So I'm a lifelong Eagles fan. I mean, and just to touch on that a little bit,
Yeah.
because I remember, the Eagles were one. It was I believe it was a 12-game season, and Norm Snead, was the quarterback, and Ben Hawkins was the wide receiver, and I was just happened. It was I don't know if it was a news program or if it was the game on TV, but Ben Hawkins was running down the sideline without his helmet on, and Snead threw him a pass, and I was hooked. And I thought, oh, this is the most amazing team in the world. And then I found out as a young kid that they only won 1 game, and it was like the last game. And then,
How old were you then?
I don't know. I'm probably 9 years old, something
So
like that.
lifelong Birds fan.
Yeah.
You said you're a
Oh,
4
yeah.
for 4 guy.
Yeah. I mean, I was lucky that a couple of years ago I was asked to ring the bell at the Sixers game, and
no way.
and
What
I've
was
had
that like?
It was incredible. That's a cool feeling to sit
Oh,
underneath
that's
the
so
basket.
cool.
And right now the Sixers really have like their challenges because of Embiid and everything like that. But I grew up on, I saw, I got a chance to watch Wilt. And,
you saw
and,
Doc
and, I
and
mean,
Wilt
and
and-
Doc became my friend. Doc, I'm talking about
geez.
Julius Erving, and used to work out with him through manager, had a friend, so I got to know Doc a bit. And so I've seen the good and bad of the Sixers, and to get a chance to be asked to ring the bell at the game was super exciting. And
I just got chills thinking about
yeah,
that. That is so cool.
it was super cool. And then I was mentioning with hockey, my friend Pat Croce used to be the trainer with those guys. So back in the day when they played I think it was the Gretzky was playing with
Kings?
No, it wasn't the Kings. It was when he was with what was the first team he came through. This is where I'm showing my age because I don't remember. But it was with Gretzky was playing the Vancouver. He wasn't the Canucks.
The Edmonton Oilers? Was he in
Thank
the Oilers?
you very
There
much.
go.
He was
Yeah,
an
that's what
Oiler.
I'm
He was an
thinking.
Oiler.
Yeah, okay.
So they were playing the Oilers, and I went to the Stanley Cup playoffs with Croce, and in between the second and third period, he invited me in the locker room.
No way.
Now they lost that series, but it was the coolest thing because Tocchet and Zezel and
Rick Tocchet, wow, that's a name.
they were all like in between, and they had their game face on, and I'm like this Mr. Drummer guy that's in the locker room with them, going go in there and kick their asses, So, but I've had some great experiences. I think the fact that we had a level of success in Philadelphia, and we knew some of the movers and shakers in the sports world, we were able to get involved, and I was kind of a glamour on, or I wanted to be a part of that. So Pat, when he said, "You want to go?" I said, "I'm in." And then, so I got a chance to experience something like that. It was cool.
That is so
cool. And then I've done, a couple of national anthems at playoff games with the Eagles. So I've gotten a chance to walk on that field, that JFK Stadium's field, which was really a trip.
Wow.
Because you got that. That was like harder than this that we're stepping on. I couldn't believe they played
harder
football
than the
on
vet
that.
turf.
Plan on that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I shouldn't say JFK. The vet turf. It was the vet where we did that. And they were playing the Rams, I remember. And by the time, and it wasn't a good game because I think we did the national anthem. And by the time and Norman Brayman was the owner at the time. And by the time we got into his booth, which was kind of weird, we got into his booth, they were down 17-0. So,
oh my gosh,
yeah, it wasn't a good day.
Not a great start for the Birds.
Yeah, but I remember thinking I can't believe these guys are going to play football on that turf. It was insane.
Man.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It wasn't great. A lot of injuries.
Yeah.
One of the cool things just before the show started, so Dustin and I, both being musicians, we both grew up as drummers. So we were like, all right, our drummer from another mother's coming in to chat with us.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of my own band as the drummer because I wasn't good enough. He obviously took over, and now we have a couple others. But
yeah,
you made a comment just a couple of minutes ago that I thought was it might have slipped right off your tongue, but you didn't even realize it. It seems like music is kind of in your DNA, and you made a comment and a correlation to a tweet or something you put out this morning of them not teaching cursive in school anymore, but you equated it to like an accent mark or like a 16th note hit when reading a chart.
Yeah.
And why would someone put a capital letter there? But you immediately made the correlation to music. As language.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really kind of beautiful way to sum up, probably you and your music career.
Because you got to pay attention to that accent. I mean, if you're reading it for real and it's there, and if you're teaching it, you got to show them how to play it. You got to pay attention to it. So when I was reading the post, I'm going like, wait a minute, that says the. Are you angry at me or what? So anyway, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. I just thought it was really cool. Take us back to very beginning. What were you're living in Levittown, you're growing up, you're an Eagles and sports fan.
Yeah.
What you played the trumpet, I think, right? Growing up,
I
very early
did,
on?
and unfortunately, I didn't want to play the trumpet. I played the trumpet because my father wanted me to play the trumpet. He was an avid. He loved Harry James, loved Louis Armstrong, loved jazz. He didn't play, but in Finland, he got records and he loved them. And so when I was in the public schools, they would offer you an instrument to play, and my dad encouraged me in so many words to play the trumpet. You're going to play the trumpet. And so I wanted to play the sax. But that was around the time that the Beatles came on TV, right? So 64?
Yeah.
Right? So around that time. So all that stuff was happening on television. And, the school where they were, giving an instrument to play. And now I have a trumpet and I pick it up like I was playing it last night.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I was playing it a little bit last night. It's a bucket list thing for me because I always, I just thought, well, just to honor my father, maybe I would play it. But later on, I realized what a cool instrument it is. And, but, that was something that I wasn't I think I mentioned the fact that, I wasn't the greatest student in school. It's like an instrument. If anything getting out of English and arithmetic and social studies. Oh, an instrument. Okay, great. I'm going to do that. But then I didn't realize when it was the trumpet, it was like, you're going to have to work at reading it. So it wasn't working out. I think I lasted about 3 months and I gave that up. And actually, when I gave the trumpet back, I thought I broke it. I didn't realize. Well, I didn't realize that that you have to oil the valves on a trumpet.
Yep.
And I didn't oil the valves. And I think after a couple of weeks, I had it out, and I wasn't able to push the
Struggling to
valves
put the valves down. Yeah.
So I thought I broke it, and I realized, oh man, my dad's going to have. We rent the trumpet; he's going to have to pay for it. So I remember I gave it back, and I think for years I thought that I broke the trumpet, because he broke it, he's going to pay for it. Until I don't know what was the discovery was that I didn't break the trumpet, but
just need a little valve oil. That's all.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now I oil the trumpet regularly, so when I'm playing. But again, I saw the Beatles on TV on the Ed Sullivan Show, and I was probably pestering my father daily to get me some sort of drum.
Snare drum, anything, right?
Well, I had a friend of mine who lived down the street, and he played guitar, and he had a snare drum. And back then, they used to put a little attachment to the snare drum stand, and there was a cymbal.
Right. Yeah.
And I could play. I could play a beat, and you're the drummer, the guitar player.
Right.
That was such a Beatles beat that you just
Yeah,
played on your lap too.
Right. And I was playing that, and so I liked it. I liked it right away, and it stuck. Here we are. I turned 70 this year, and I haven't stopped since.
So you were probably what, 10, 11 years
I
old?
was 10, 11 years old when I started doing that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. Growing up, Dustin and I met in 7th grade in the jazz band, and I was a trumpet
He
player.
played trumpet.
He was the drummer, but he was one of those freaks that he could play the keys,
Yeah.
he could play the drums.
He still is. He
I
still
know
plays.
it's
Yeah,
even
great.
worse now,
Oh,
and I
stop.
give
It's
him hell
great.
for it. But he's one of those rare breeds, and he had the long hair. He was like the cool kid that moved into the school, and everyone's like, "Who the hell is this?" He plays football. He's a drummer. He's
Jack of all trades. It's
Jack of
cool.
all
That's
trades.
really cool.
But as time went on for you, playing the drums, and you guys formed, your first couple bands, in high school, and you were just talking about it, like getting your first gig and kind of becoming that kind of set the stage for you, it seems, for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think I was kind of I could play, and I listened to a lot of radio, and I could play what I was hearing, and I could play what I was seeing. Again, I wasn't the greatest student, but there was a teacher named Mr. Marchman. I remember at my school at Abraham Lincoln that, I remember he showed me how to play a 7-stroke roll, a double-stroke roll, and with a 1. And that's the way he would count it. And I always counted it in, and I would play that. I don't think I count it that way anymore, but I remember that. I remember him giving me a little special attention. And he was a super cool guy. And I remember he was I just always thought he was like a great teacher. But that was the beginning of I lost my train of thought here.
Just like who were forming the first band.
Oh
and
yeah.
going
So
for
it
their
was
first couple
yeah.
gigs.
So it was early on, it was. I'm trying to think about how to get back to where I was talking about here.
Oh, you're fine.
But there was a point in Mr. Marchman, and I would get back and oh yeah, I got you. So it was it just learning was always like an issue. And when I teach today, I do the same thing. It's like everybody learns differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good
It's
point.
and me, it was not like so much the study and I would see somebody do something, I'd hear somebody do it, and then it came easily for me to do it. So, but I don't think I was really, I didn't think I was excelling or doing, I was just having fun.
Yeah.
I was just having fun doing
Well,
it.
it came natural as probably a release creatively for you.
Yeah. What happened was there was this guy in my neighborhood that was a little older than me. We happened to like the same music. He was playing Black Sabbath songs, and he was playing Humble Pie. We both loved Humble Pie.
Okay.
And we had this, and I would go see his band. Like I was just a kid, but I would go see his band. And then somehow he heard me play, and he invited me to play with him. And I didn't still think I was any good. And now sometimes, I guess there was some kind of recording where I could hear I was better than I thought I was.
Gotcha.
You know what
Okay.
I mean? I really, was better than I thought I was. And it came from someone else that was seeing something in me that I didn't see. I didn't have that, like, yeah, I can do this. It was like somebody encouraging me to do it. And then I built the confidence to do it. And then I could do it.
Who was
I don't
that?
know if that makes
who was
any
that person for you?
For me, he's no longer with us, a guy named Bobby Fischer.
Okay.
And we were doing cover songs. And still, there was like a level of drumming that I didn't, I was probably playing a lot more timid than I want to play or could play, because I really wanted to lay into the drums.
Yeah, because you play hard, man.
Yeah, and I still
get into
do.
it.
But I wanted to lay in the drums, but I just didn't feel like I got permission. And it was weird. It wasn't until I saw a friend of mine, David Prater, who played with who was producing at the time. He played with Eric and Rob in a band called Baby Grand. He came and sat in with us with the Hooters, and he played like it was the last time he's going to play the drums. Wow. And I went, damn, that's the way to do it. And from that day on, I played like that. Like I felt like he gave me permission to like lay into it. And I might have been laying into it, but it didn't feel like I was, like somehow he gave me the green light. And I played in all these, like in a few cover bands coming up, and we weren't, like I always wanted to be in a band that like wrote their own songs.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Like let's, write our, and then back then, if you're writing your own songs, there was a place to go with that.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if that's the case anymore. I mean, now, especially with AI and everything like
it's
that.
definitely
It's a little different.
Yeah,
You can chart your own path.
Yeah,
Right now.
I guess, but it was different in the sense that when you were writing your own songs, you could see people that wrote their songs that eventually could play their own songs and get paid for playing those songs, and then have a record company put your records out and actually help you get your records and music out there. That was like a viable business, I guess.
A career path.
A career path.
You
back
can,
then,
you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Where now you can't see it, but there was a time.
It's different. I know it's different. It's totally different. So, but with me, it's, I just think it's like really hard for people to be original.
Yeah.
And God bless these bands that are playing in tribute bands and cover bands. It's great.
Yeah.
It's, but if that was the case when I was coming up, I don't even know if I'd be playing music. Even though I came up playing cover songs and I play cover songs, that was never anything I wanted to do.
Right. The reason why you did that is to do the original.
Not that it's a bad thing. It's just that never floated my boat. I never wanted to do that. And I'm not even a writer. I mean, I'll go and create music with artists, and I consider myself one too, but it's like, I don't know if I would, I might have probably gone another path if I came up at a different time.
Wow.
Sure.
Really.
So your writing process now, now if you are doing writing, how does that compare to like very early days with the band, you and Rob and the team? Are you guys sitting around, or are they bringing lyrics and a story to a rehearsal? You guys sit around and just try to...
Oh, it's so
rip it
different. It's so different than it was when we first started, And look, when we first started, we would go in a room and we would play songs together. They would come up like, All You Zombies, they might have had like a structure of that tune. And that song evolved over years.
Right. Yep.
Over years, like of what it became in 1985. But we were playing that song in 1980.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And they were already fooling around with an idea that had like maybe some concepts of like rhythmically, this is what you do. But we were in our little rehearsal room working out. You know, they would play their melody and play their riff, and I would play drums. And I would play what I think went to the song. And that's how we came up with stuff. And then through technology and equipment changes and editing tools and things like that, you know, I mean, back then our biggest, you know, we had a 2-track recorder, you know, where we would record something, or somebody would have a Walkman, which was like a, you know, a new thing to record with, and we'd have that. But over the years, you know, it's changed. I mean, nowadays they'll come with, you know, I mean, now you have like drum machines and,
Yeah, we'll just
you know,
punch
here,
it in. Don't
yeah,
have to
or
do
whatever.
the whole song,
And
right?
The whole thing's
I
crazy.
mean, really, I mean, I shouldn't say it's not creative at all. It is creative. You got to come in and you bring your thing to the song, but it's a lot different than it was when we first started.
Yeah. Do you find that there's a magic that's lost? To me, the best recordings are always like old Zeppelin recordings where the tempo starts at 90 BPM and it ends up at 124.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's all vibe.
Yeah.
It's all collaboration and the genius and the brilliance of that
let
moment.
me get that on that.
There's bum notes. There's every, you know.
I listen.
Human.
Oh God, I'm gonna get in trouble for this.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I did, you know, I mean, we had a great tour. We were out for, I mean, but listen, guys get older and they want to sing at a certain tempo every night.
Right.
And you know, and I'm paid to deliver that, you know. Sometimes, you know, there's nowadays with a Roland SPD SX, you could put a click track in and it's steady every night. So you're playing to it. But I miss those days of me rushing and dragging. I didn't drag a
You
lot.
can push the band, right? And it's
Yeah,
Most
you know,
drummers, most drummers I feel like don't drag. Most of them get, most of us get excited.
Most
and
good
you
drummers.
Yeah.
Yeah, most drummers like, but I think that I miss, you know, I miss those days, and I hear those records of where the tempo is like, it's not all one thing, stagnant. You know, you listen to Honky Tonk Woman, you were saying
God.
Yeah, exactly.
90
The
BPM, and then
sounds-
it's up at that like 116.
It's offbeat. It's
Exactly. But how great is that? You know,
Yeah.
it's great. It's great. And those are that's what's missing
It's the
in a lot of music
imperfections,
today. And truly, you know, we've gotten into that as well. I mean, you know, those early days were my favorite days where you were just like
every night was different.
play the
right?
way the way
That
you
version,
play,
right?
you know, so.
Well, it leaves room also for, I love, one of my favorite things as a performer is the improvisation. And I get a lot of flack for it a lot of times because, like, I'll just go on extended,
We'll
you know,
rehearse
as
it
like,
one way, right? And then
and there are nights that, you know, we have backing tracks too for a lot of our shows, but there's a lot of nights where he's, as a guitar player, just on fire. And I'm just,
And you feel that.
I'll just step off out of the, you know,
that's
almost
good.
off the stage and be like, this is your show, man. You know, or, you know, our drummer, Kevin Safera,
you know
who I think you know, right? Or
think so.
may have met before. Like there's nights that he is just out of his mind.
Yeah.
And that's the improvisation
go
that
off
like
and-
the
you know?
that catching that spark.
Yeah.
All you're doing as a band, me as the front man, all I'm trying to capture is a frequency between us and the audience.
That's wonderful.
It's just connection. That is all it's about. And capturing a moment that that fan, one person or 10,000 people is never going to experience again in their life.
Yeah.
And if you can get 10 seconds of that, you know, but playing the same way every time in a very procedural, process-oriented way, you can deliver maybe 10% better that night. Vocally, you're on. Guitar tones, front of house mix, you know, is great.
Right.
But those improv moments and just winging it a little bit, if you leave a little bit of room for that, there's so much magic in there.
Yeah.
There's soul.
Yeah. I mean, there's some cats that, you know, over the year, I think when we were younger, that was something that was, people were willing to
and it was
be a
expected
little
almost,
less
right?
like those kinds of what we call great warts. You know what I mean? It's like, let that happen and live with it and embrace it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there's less embracing it these days. My experiences, you know, everybody wants it just the way it is, you know, and the way they think it should be,
Right.
you know, you know, I don't know if I've become. I mean, I just think I'm just guilty of just missing. You know, it's like the old guy that misses the old days. You know,
It's fine. I kinda do too,
I do.
right?
You know,
Yeah.
I miss that, and you know, and I feel like I'm not a machine. I feel like I'm a breathing human being that heart beats, that feels emotion, and I want to be able to do that. But that's not always meaning the other guy's going to want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and being that I am the drummer, and I have to be that guy that has to, you know, bring it all together and make everybody happy with what's going on. Because if he's feeling like I'm rushing or whatever, it you know, I guess I'm not really doing my job. But you know, I miss those days. I mean, what you're talking about is just something that I think maybe one of the reasons. For instance, ITP is not a jam band. We have a set list of songs we do, and we say, okay, go learn your parts and go do it.
Right.
But that's the extent of it. You know, I'm not going to get upset about somebody not playing a phrase the way the record was supposed to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, play it. And because I just don't want to take the fun out of it.
Yeah, and you're asking them to come and be themselves.
Exactly.
Right? And do it as a
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. You know, and I think sometimes after a while doing the same thing, you get guilty of, and I'm same thing. You know, it's like you sometimes you got to fight to get out of a rut. As a musician, you know, and I'm not just saying I'm in a rut right now, but you know, when you do a long tour, and you're playing the same songs every night, you do this same way, and a guy's saying the same thing. You just want to say, "Get me the fuck out of here," you know. And
we know a lot of bands like that you go to see them 6 months later. They're telling the same stories to lead up to the songs.
Yeah,
it's like, man,
same motions, the same shit every night, you know. And
I feel like you can't deliver raw emotion.
honesty,
The honesty and the that's a great word.
Yeah,
that's the thing that, you know. And it's difficult at times because you get in a groove, you're playing, you know, at one point we played 121 shows a year, and you get in a good groove where you sort of predictably know how to transition from one song to the next. But, you know, sometimes like you have to be aware enough to take yourself out of that and be like, you know what, I'm going to throw a curveball at you right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a band that's willing to let you do that.
Right,
you know, at the same time, that's cool. You know, for instance, we were just in Vancouver and we played a show with Def Leppard.
Oh, wow.
Which
That's
was, and really remarkable. I mean, Rick Allen is just a freak of nature. Just to go on and do what he did. But to do what they do, they have to do, you know, it's like every night they had to hit their marks.
Right.
You know. But what they do is unbelievable.
Right.
You know, it's like unbelievable. And so there's something to be said for that kind of continuity. You know what I mean? That you can do that. So, you know, there's like the other end of the spectrum. But, you know, when it comes to that whole improvisation, I mean, it's rock and roll, and rock and roll was meant to be fun.
Right.
You know, and
not perfect.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it was never perfect. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I'm not too crazy about it when it's too perfect.
Yeah.
Same,
man. So speaking of cool shows, obviously,
I went really off the rails with this because
no,
because
you know,
you know, I'm a bit what is it? ODC? What is it?
OCD?
OCD. Thank you very much.
Yeah, OCD.
ADD. All the things.
Everything.
And
all
then
the
2 months on the road, that'll do it to you.
God.
No kidding. All the coffee.
Right.
One of the things you said, just playing, you know, out in Vancouver with Def Leppard, and you guys have had an unbelievable run of shows. There's one in particular that I'd mentioned that I have to get your take on, which is, it's going to take you back, but to Live Aid.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just you look at Bowie, Bob Dylan, Queen, the Stones. I mean, you guys. take us back into the moment when
Yeah.
you got the phone call
Yeah.
or the message.
Yeah.
However, your manager shows up. You know, give us the run of how you found out, and then
Yeah.
take us through that experience and what
Yeah.
that was like for you.
Well, I'll try to remember the best I can because it was 1985.
85, I think, right? Yeah.
July 13th, right?
I'm not sure on the date, but I know
Yeah.
the year's correct.
That week, I think we found out like a few days prior to Live Aid that we were playing. At least I found out a few days before they were doing it. And so I was lucky enough to be able to go to sound check. Like I went down there just to see what was going on because, I mean, again, it was a different world. It was a satellite concert. We didn't have cell phones. There was no internet, but that was like, it was all the news. I remember Bob Geldof had a press conference with Sting and Peter Gabriel and a few other people that were doing the show. The Thompson twins, I remember them being there, and just a few other artists. So that was on the news and all the news channels. So somehow it got out there. And I remember thinking, wow, what a cool thing to be a part of. Now, later on, I found out that Bill Graham was in town a couple of days or the week before that show, and somebody, a Hooters fan, mentioned to him, said, hey, you should get this band, the Hooters, to open up. And then he said something to Larry Maggot, and then Larry
I didn't know
Maggot
that.
mentioned
Oh,
that to
wow.
I didn't know
Steve
that.
Mountain. That's what I heard. And I think
Okay.
that's just the story that Larry Maggot was telling at a conference that he did recently, which I never knew.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I know that Bill Graham was a fan of what we did, and later on, we would play his venues, and he was always a fan of what we were doing. The late great Bill Graham, but doing that show and being there at, like, for me, the show was great, and it was amazing, and it was like everything that you would think it would be. But that sound check was something that was mind blowing to watch Mick Jagger and Tina Turner rehearse
Getting chills
their
thinking about
bit.
this.
Yeah, it was really amazing. It was really amazing, and they didn't do the bit where he ripped off her skirt, but I remember them talking about something, and I was watching it pretty intently, and it was cool. I didn't really know Mickey Curry that well at the time, who later on we're close friends now. But Mickey and the guys in Hall Notes, T-Bone and GE were the backup band, and it was cool watching them rehearse. And I remember that day before I was picking out the drums I was going to use for Live Aid. I was.
Do you remember what you were using?
I remember Tommy Cato and the guys at Tama Hoshino brought a bunch of Tama drums. I was such an idealistic jerk off. I remember I was trying to rip off the stuff off the drums.
With those stickers
because
and stuff?
I didn't want stickers on my drums because I thought it was lame, and it was just it was just stupid. And Tommy Cato came over to me and said, what are you doing? And I said, I don't want those on my drums. And then he explained to me, well, they're for the Live Aid and the famine relief. And I went, oh, Tommy, I feel like such a jerk. Put them back on. It was like really stupid. And I don't know what I was thinking. I think I heard somebody say corporate America sucks. Right. So it was like,
But now
it was just stupid.
Logos.
Yeah. And so we put them back on. So I picked out these drums, and I remember picking out the drums with the drummer from Judas Priest.
Wow.
We were like, I think the guy that got in a lot of trouble. So, but I remember he wasn't really that talkative, and I was this young dude that was like, hey man, check this out. I can't believe we're going to play Live Aid. And so yeah, it was amazing. So I remember watching them practice, and I recall Mick Jagger, like he's my friend, Mick Jagger having a conversation with Eric and Rob, because he saw them. They worked on Hard, a song they recorded with him called Hard Woman. I think it's called Hard Woman.
Okay.
It never really did anything, but they got to work with Mick, like
That's
in a
amazing.
session.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And I saw that he recognized them, and he said, hey, and he came over, kind of like the Paul McCartney story I told you. And I was thinking, oh my God, he knows the guys in my band, and that was cool. And then the next day, I don't think I slept the night before Live Aid because of the excitement, and I had to be there at like 7 a.m. in the morning. I didn't get a sound check or anything like that, but I was the only drummer that day using in-ears.
Oh, really?
No one else. Yeah, you could see it if you pick. I forget what article. It's one of the music magazines, Mix Magazine. They did a story, and you could see that I have the in-ears that I'm wearing in the back, and you could see the cable going back, but no other drummer was. We just had a wedge. And some shows I was wearing them, and some shows I wasn't. And that day, I realized that Rob, the way we were setting up back then, I used to set up to the front of the stage, and Rob was set up across from me. And I just got a moment of clarity. I thought, I'm never going to hear him. And we're going to open when all you zombies. No, we open with And We Dance. But when we play Zombies, I'm not going to hear that gliss he would play, and I got to play the downbeat.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'd be fucked.
Yep.
So I said, I got to put that in for that, and I'll take it out. But I never took it out. And it kind of saved, at least we could lock in. I mean, Rob thought afterwards that we ruined our career after that show.
Seriously?
He thought that we were so bad that it was like we were done.
Like
but
all the
fortunately,
pressure,
yeah, it was better than, it's an old story of like you're never as bad or as good as you think you are.
I totally, yeah.
Right?
We're reminded of that
Yeah,
every show.
you're never as good or
day,
as
It's funny because your
yeah.
mom comes to a lot
Exactly.
of them. And I'll there's certain people I'm sure at your shows
She's
too.
beautiful, isn't she?
His mom?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's great.
I had to bring that up.
That's where I get my looks.
Yeah.
You're beautiful too. It's okay. There's always people at our shows that, and I'm sure it's the same for you, that like, I know that based on their reaction and based on how they interact with me after the show, I can tell instantly without them even saying anything how we played and how it sounded.
Right.
Are there those people for you that you sort of...
Yeah, I mean, we got people that like, I mean, a fan, listen, I can't say enough about people that follow our band. Like, say, for instance, the Hooters.
Yep.
Or even ITP. But with the Hooters, our fan base are there. They're like the most amazing cheerleaders. They're the most encouraging, like, especially in Europe, where there's a group of fans that will come out and see us. They buy tickets for every show.
Really?
And they come out, and
Amazing.
they travel long distances, and they see us. And if you're feeling a little bit like, man, I'm not sure how much I got. A lot, you guys know what it's like. Say like 4 o'clock, you're really tired, and all of a sudden, an hour before showtime, something's happening.
Yep.
And it's like, boom, I got to do this, and there's adrenaline kicking in, and all these other things that are happening. So things change, but you can't beat a smile on a fan's face.
But it's
and
all
somebody's
Totally agree.
like just encouraging you, But yeah, there's those who will say always positive things. There's a couple people who tell me, "Hey man, that wasn't the best show of your life." You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate those people.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'd rather you shoot me dead between the eyes with the truth than have someone sugarcoat something and gloss it over.
Sure.
But I'm always looking for ways like you, I'm sure, to just refine the craft, get better.
Yeah.
What could we have done better?
Good for you.
So I'd rather someone just, tell me,
Yeah.
man, you guys suck tonight. This was off, or your vocals sucked. It's like, I get it. I'm human.
Yeah, that's why I got a wife. Dalla will tell me exactly where I stand all the time.
You're fortunate because I have a wife.
She's a great
as well,
cheerleader,
that way.
but she will tell me the truth, which is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we talked about Live Aid. Are there other shows in your career that come to mind that were like those seminal moments where you feel like, wow, this is something I never even dreamed that would?
Well, interestingly enough, that you bring that up, because Live Aid was in July, and I think it was just not that much longer, a few months later, that Amnesty International happened.
Wow.
So by that time, Nervous Night came out, and it was people, when we played Live Aid, Philadelphia knew who we were. And the record was just getting out. And by the time we got to Giant Stadium, you can really watch. If you go to YouTube and you pull up Live Aid and you see it, and people are, they're enthusiastic and they're great. But when you go to Giant Stadium and you see us play, it's like a band that has come into their own.
Wow.
Like we are like, I thought I was the Thunder God when I played freaking.
Still are.
Well, thank you. That's very nice.
That's
of
what
you.
we're going to call
But
this
it ain't
episode.
the truth.
Sit down with the Thunder God.
But it was, when we played Giant Stadium, I was just throwing down, and I just felt like this is where it's at, and it felt good. There was no, I just felt like, and oddly enough, I met Muhammad Ali backstage at that show, and I felt like Muhammad Ali. I mean, like I literally got up there and I felt, and the band played great. So when I look back on that time, and that was only months after, maybe 6 months, I think, because it was a long time ago. But you can really see the difference in the band. You know, there's less like, oh, please like us, to like, this is us.
There was a confidence that you guys sort of had at that point.
Yeah. So I remember that one, and then, you know, interestingly enough, we got to be friends with Roger Waters from Pink Floyd, and Roger invited us to be a part of. I think one day he said, if the wall ever comes down, I'll do the wall here at Potsdamer Platz, and we were invited to open that show, and then we were invited to be in the film. So that was also a cool thing, a 2-day thing in Berlin, in another country.
It was huge.
Yeah. Oh my God. There were like, I think when we played, there were 500,000 people in the audience then, you know, so they were significant moments or shows that we played where a lot of people were. And then, you know, because, you know, we've been together 45 years.
Yeah.
So we took a 7-year hiatus. And I think when we came back and played the Spectrum, was it 2003? It was Pierre's anniversary gig.
For MMR?
Yeah. And Eric looked over and he said, like, why aren't we doing this? You know, because we weren't doing it.
Yeah.
And so, and we were young enough, and we still had the energy to really go do what you needed to do to be a successful band. And we felt confident enough that we could go up there. We didn't need no click tracks. We didn't need anything to do what we did. And everybody was loose enough to have confidence in themselves to be who they were. And we were still able to kick ass for some years after that.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. So that one's
a hell of a run.
Yeah, it is. It has been, you know. And like, you know, we just finished this tour, and I came back a little bit beat up. You know, I have a back issue, and I had a buddy of mine who played with Bryan Adams for many, many years. And he's like one of my favorite drummers, and he retired. And I'd always look at Mick and I'd say, like, how do you do that? You know? And now I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes a great drummer for you? Like, of all the people that you just consume and all the music and people you've met, is it their personality? Is it the way they play, the flavor, their style? Like, what makes it for you?
Yeah.
Where you pick it out of the lineup and be like, that's the guy.
Yeah. Well, I'll mention a drummer. Like, so the new drummer in the Foo Fighters.
Yeah,
when he was,
bring that up.
Well, he used to when he was a kid, he used to come to me for lessons.
You're kidding? Oh, no way.
Yeah. When I lived in San Diego, he'd come to my house because his father and I were friends, and we met, and he would come to my house, and Elon was, it might have been a year, maybe 2 years at best, but he'd come to my house, and we was just teaching him how to read a quarter note, the eighth, those 16. We would do the Buddy Rich book together.
Okay.
But he was already playing like a beast, and he already had a feel, like a handful. Like I got a lot of favorite drummers.
Sure, fire away.
You know, Keltner, Conkle, but like Richie Hayward, the late great Richie Hayward from Little Feat was always somebody that, when I met him, we opened for. He was playing with Chicken Legs at the time. I couldn't get enough of watching him play. And then you mentioned personality. We hung out together and we connected, and he invited me to his house when I was going to visit LA, and he said, come over to my house, and we hung out. So we were kind of cut from the same cloth. I ain't going to say that I play like him, not at all. but we both we were both a little eccentric in some ways. And so I dug the cat a lot, and I dug his playing. He's like one of my favorites. Mickey Carey. I just mentioned Mickey Carey.
Yep.
It's like Mickey's got a very strong pocket, and you know Mickey can play powerful, but he still has got great chops. And not that he even uses, but it's just like he floats, stings like what's
like
it?
a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Right. Floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee. Manu Cachet, that same kind of thing where that to me, when a drummer's in the flow, but at the same time laying it down.
Dude,
I love that, you know.
In the pocket, man. Literally.
Yeah. You know, I mentioned Mick. I mentioned, there's so many. I love Jim Keltner. You know, Jim Gordon was one of my favorites. Elon now, I can't get enough of watching him play because he's turned into such a magnificent player, and Josh was a great drummer too.
Yeah.
I just think that Elon is going to be the right guy for them, and they're going to have a blast. Yeah, I do. I do. He's going to do this tour, and I don't know what happens after that, but I think they're going to be loving playing with him because he's always been like that. When I met him, when he was coming to my house when he was a kid, because he was just a kid, he didn't even talk a lot back then, but he was taking it all in. So most of my connection was with Elon and his dad, and he had a band called Fawn, and the band they actually played the second Woodstock. He was 11. He was like 11 years old when he did that,
Gosh, wow.
And then he went on to do like amazing things. The first time we connected after that, we were both at a Zildjian event, and we were standing doing a photo session with all the drummers. And we're standing next to each other, and he turns and he goes, "Dave?" And I said, "Elon?" Because Elon was like, he was here, and then he was here.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So it was super cool. And we were both endorsing the same cymbal company and taking a photo together. And then, but we reconnected. So it's nice to have a connection with somebody that's doing so great.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think he's the greatest drummer in the world right now.
Wow, really?
I do.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see that tour.
Yeah, yeah.
I missed. You were at the last
do.
one.
Yeah,
a couple summers ago.
Hershey. Yeah.
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was. I can't believe that I didn't get to go to that with you. But
I invited you.
I know you did.
Yeah,
busy.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
busy.
I dig his playing. I've always dug his playing. And then I'm probably a little biased, but I gotta tell you, man, anybody that sees him always goes, "Whoa."
I can't wait to see it, man.
Yeah.
All right, I want to tie it back to Bucks County roots.
Yeah.
So we were talking before the show a little bit. Levittown kid, grew
Vernon's.
up. Yeah, there you go. Made good. So we talked a little bit about people that are successful from this region that aren't straight and narrow. Seems like we venture out for a bit, get some perspective, do some things, see the world, meet people, but there's something about home here.
I think it's
brings
more
us
like
back.
that now. I mean, there were a lot of musicians that thought they had to leave to be successful.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them
And you did.
would move and but
know?
they would leave, and a lot of cats, they used to call Philly home, and I thought that was my case. In my case too, like, because I was gone for 20 years, but I've been back for 15, and it was always something. It took me 5 years to call Southern California my home, and then once I did, I was there for another 15 years.
Were you in Santee the whole time? Or
Oh, no,
primarily?
I was in LA for a few years, and then I moved to San Diego.
Gotcha.
And lived in East County there, and excuse me, I loved it, but my marriage split up. I went through some of the things that were unfortunate, and it's funny that I ended up marrying my wife, and my wife used to work for a management company, and I toured the world with Dallin, and we were just friends, and then when I was coming back here, and we'd stay together, and then all of a sudden I'd go back, and I'm going, why am I going there? This is home. You know what I mean? What am I doing? It was like an aha moment, but it took a while to figure that out.
We're drummers, man. These things take a
it
little
wasn't
while.
like
We're not
it should have been obvious immediately, but it wasn't for some reason.
So you made your way back home. You said you've been here 15 years?
I've been here 15 years.
Where? What part of town are you in?
I'm
now?
in Wayne.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so I get to Bucks County once in a while. My wife and I love it here. We'll come up to like New Hope, and we go over to Lambertville, and she likes the little antique shops and things like that. So I think every spring or fall we'll make it over here and just check out the shops. And
It's awesome.
And,
Fall's a great time to be here.
I heard like a lot of like really super talented, famous people have moved here, and it's super cool. Yeah,
That's what
Taylor Swift, I heard, and was it Jacob Dylan? And it's really, but it's not surprising.
No.
You drive through here, it's such a beautiful area. It's like, who wouldn't want to be here?
Yeah.
Got great restaurants. I mean, you can't beat the food here in East Coast. It's like, I've traveled enough places, and there's great food around the world. But if you come back and you go to Ralph's on 9th Street in Philly,
There it is.
your life has changed.
Check out your coffee mug. Look at the other side.
Man.
There you go. So it's funny, obviously, that you say that.
Oh, I get
Ralph's
it.
has a really deep place in my heart.
Oh,
so
really?
My grandparents.
Get
I grew
out.
up in Holland,
Oh.
in Bucks County. So my
Yeah.
grandparents had a little, little condo there. Their next door neighbor happened to be a guy who was their manager at Ralph's for like 35 years.
Ah.
So he would commute from Holland down to South Philly every day.
Yeah.
And when we would have like, graduations or these like moments in time where the whole family got together, that would be our spot. So we would go to Ralph's and I'm getting choked up thinking about it.
Oh,
But,
that's nice.
the meatballs, the
Oh.
sauce, the
Yeah.
cutlets, the
Yeah.
whole,
So good.
Yeah.
and just the experience.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like you're
That's
going
the
back
best.
200 years in time.
It's the best. Listen, when I got back
So
from
simple.
Europe, the very first I was exhausted, and the very first place that I went to was I can't believe my wife's doing this. Honey, I'm still on.
You're live.
You're live.
hi.
I'm still on. I'm still on. Okay, I'll call you back. All right. Bye. I can't believe it. Anyway.
Oh, you're fine.
She did that on
But
purpose.
she loves it. So so I was exhausted, and I still had to get the Ralphs, and I had the sausage with peppers and onions with red sauce, and it was like the
Doesn't
best
get
thing I ever had. It tasted better than anything I ever ate. Which
Life-changing.
there's this like common joke that like with the guys in the band would always say, "Was it the best?" And I was like, "It was the best."
You love food, man.
I love food.
You
I
love
love to
food.
eat.
Good
Yeah, good food. Yeah,
Yeah.
really. And Ralph's, it's hard to beat. So I was just in New York, and I went to this place called Emilio's Gelato, which you got to go check out. The
I haven't heard
meatball-
it. Okay.
You have to go there, and you got to get the meatballs because the meatballs are like going to heaven.
I'm
kid
making the
you
reservation
not.
right now.
No, I'm kidding you. You can't get a reservation.
Then
You
I'm
have
not.
to get in line to do it, or somebody, so may I may be able to help you out. But it was the best meatballs I've ever had in my life.
What made it the best? 'Cause
Well,
there's a million different ways
Yeah,
to do it.
Dallin reached out to the owner's son. Emilio's son is kind of he kind of gave her not the exact recipe, but gave her some hints on what
Really?
he's doing. Yeah. So there is really a bit of a formula to what they're doing, but I got to tell you, I've had a lot of meatballs. I'm turning 70. I've had a lot of meatballs. That meatball was the single greatest meatball I ever ate in my life.
Wow.
The
All right.
greatest meatball I ever ate in my life.
Well,
Go get Emilio's Gelato.
If you know a way that we could possibly
Yeah,
get in there,
we'll talk
it'd be
about
my
it.
treat. If
No,
we wanna make
hey,
the trip
listen,
up, we can
yeah,
go grab a couple
yeah,
meatballs, man.
and that was amazing. And also if you go to New York, go to the Minetta Tavern and get yourself a fillet, and you won't be the same. So it's all
right.
good stuff,
Well, I was going to say, usually at the end of every episode, I ask 3 of the same questions to everybody who has Bucks County roots. That happened to be
He
one of
answered
them.
about all 3 of them.
Yeah,
we'll bring you back to that one. But first question is,
I've taken you completely off the rails with this thing, haven't I?
Hey.
we look
what
again,
this is about,
we're
man.
drummers. This is what we kind of expect. Anything's possible. Anything happens.
Yeah.
So if we opened up, and I know you were first of all.
Said, I got the drummer that plays with the Hooters playing on the track. He goes, so I came in, he goes, well, do you know Billy Idol? He just started mentioning guys that I might have some contact with or knew somebody that knew somebody. And, we were just talking casually and, and I was telling him about experiences. And he invited me to, he started telling me about this company that he was doing the legal consulting on, where they were taking so think about this. This is 1998.
Okay.
There wasn't even broadband yet.
The year McNabb got drafted, I think.
We were
right?
talking dial-up still.
Wow. Yeah.
But this is before, I remember it was just going from AOL, so broadband was just starting to happen around this time. So, we were looking at CDs when you were listening to music, and the most compact way to listen to music back then was a CD.
Right.
I mean, albums were over.
Yep.
Right? So you're looking at little CDs, and I think there were like some digital players and some things like that.
Yep.
So this guy, Rod Underhill, invited me over to meet this guy, Michael Robertson, who was the founder and CEO of this company. That when I walked in, he showed me a tower hard drive. It was like a box like that, and he said, "I have 150,000 songs in there, tracks in there." And I was like, "Well, how do you get them in there? You know?
Right. The files
Yeah,
are
what
in the
do you-
computer.
And then he started explaining to me about what an MP3 file was, which sounded like Chinese to me.
Yeah.
And really but it was fascinating stuff. I was like, wow, and I didn't poo-poo any of it. I was just like really interested in going, because I knew some things were about to change. I could just feel it in the air. And so he invited me to, well, I'm sorry, yeah. So he invited me over to meet Michael, and he told me, because there's 150,000 songs in here. And I'm like, how do you do it? And so I had all these questions, and he was telling me, because we're all engineers. We don't know a fucking thing about music. And let me say, we don't know a freaking thing about music, just in case you got to do an edit. We don't know a thing about music if
We
you
don't
have
get
an
anything
edit.
here.
So, I went home, and I was, at the time, I was living in San Diego, my first wife and Sam, and Sam was just a little kid at the time. And I remember I went home, and I was just kind of like shell-shocked from what I saw. I think it was like a Friday when I met with them, and then they started, that night there was a promo by Dan Rather talking about this new company that's creating music called MP3s, and they're going to do a story on it. And they show Michael Robertson. And I go, geez, that's the guy I just met with this afternoon.
Wow.
About that.
So my wife said, you better give him a call.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, so, well, oddly enough, I didn't give him a call, but they called me. Like 2
Even
weeks.
better.
2 weeks later, they called me, and they said they need help with managing their music. And they wanted to know if I'd be interested in coming over to help with that. And they said, come talk to us, and we'll talk to you about a salary and stock and all this stuff. That I went, what?
Just a musician.
But yeah, exactly. So, think about it. It's like, whoa, that was like a whole different world.
Yeah.
But I did go, and I had at the time, I was already dabbling in like websites and things like that, because I knew things were changing. But I had a Mac PowerBook, but the best I could do is like open it up and maybe dial AOL. I wasn't really doing anything, and I had a website, but I would like bring it to you, and I'd say, hey, check it out. I wasn't sharing it like there were any links or anything like that. But what happened was I was hired there, and I went to work there, and I had to work with engineers and marketing people, and I mean, I learned a lot. It was like one of those things. I ended up, I think I was there in 1998, and I left in 2003.
Wow.
So I stayed there, and we went from I even worked for another company he had where I was QAing an operating system. So I couldn't open a computer where I became somebody where I can understand a little bit of Linux code and things like that. So which is now almost obsolete.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was just showing you that you can teach an old dog new tricks, which was that I've never forgotten. Like, oh, I learned it then, and it kind of served me well as years went by, when something new would come by and say, well, you learned that.
Yeah.
You had dyslexia, and you learned to read. You couldn't do shit on a computer. Then you end up doing that and that and that. So later on, it just served me doing other things. But I was with that company, and it was really an awesome ride. It was really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool, and it changed music in some good and some bad ways.
Agreed.
Different.
Yeah,
It
right,
evolved in
right?
kind of a unique way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember very early cutting up tapes to a Tascam 4-track recorder in the garage,
Right.
and that's what we
Yeah.
distributed and tried to copy for people. And then the burning CDs phase, and then like being in my college
Right.
dorm room and like downloading